Tracy. We are back with Marion Hafner. Thank you for having us again.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's good to be here.
Yes.
We're at Chadwick's Funeral Home, if in case you're just joining us, and we're talking about pre-planning of funerals and services. And we spoke last week about how to do that. Bring in the family, bring in your children, come in yourself. Right?
Yes.
And what is that the best way to approach it?
It is. It's important to include especially the children or whoever is in charge, because you're not going to be here.
Right.
And it's important to let the kids know what you would like, and so to see if they'll follow through with it, if they're comfortable with that. Because if they aren't, then you really need to have a discussion about what it is that
you want. And there are a lot of variables. We've all been to wakes and funerals and memorial services, and it can it be anything, any combination thereof?
Yes, it certainly can be,
Okay.
And it can be very simple, or it can be a little bit more drawn out, or whatever it is that you like, or it can be a couple of different locations or just one location. You can involve food or not.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because if you have family out of state,
right,
and you want to have another service, and
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That makes sense. So, what are some of the things we should be thinking about in pre-planning?
Right. So I guess the biggest things to think about are the basic questions, would you like a traditional casket burial, or would you like to be cremated and then have a burial, or then have something else happen? And nowadays, of course, people are talking about green burials, and other things are coming down the pike. But
what is a green burial?
A green burial is, it's in a special section usually of a cemetery where you don't have to have a casket as such, or you might have to, depending on the rules of the cemetery. You can be wrapped in a shroud, but there's no chemical, and like there's no embalming. There's certain regulations about how deep you have to be buried, and still a lot of cemeteries in New Hampshire aren't quite up to that yet. They're trying to work on it and figure out how to make it work.
Right, but if someone comes in with that request, you can help them work through that process.
Certainly can try, yes.
Right.
We can work through the process, and then just finding a cemetery that will allow it. That's the tricky thing.
That would make sense, exactly.
Right.
Because I guess like everything with technology and the world, things are evolving.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
And our cemeteries around here don't open in the winter, so it's a little tough to have a green burial in the winter when we can't get into the cemetery. So that's something that most of the small cemeteries are still trying to work out.
Work their way through. Okay, so we're thinking about caskets. We're thinking about types of services.
Yes. Yeah. Do we want to have calling hours? You could have calling hours or visitation with a casket present, and then you could have cremation after that. So, or you could have, go right to the cemetery and have a full earth burial. You can really mix and match and do what you feel like is right for you.
Sure.
So you could take the casket into church, and then we could have cremation.
Gotcha.
Or we could take the casket and then just go to the cemetery. So there's all sorts of different ways. Or we have calling hours here with nothing present.
I've been to them, and those are lovely too.
Yeah.
With flowers and a picture.
I was going to say, or we can have lots of pictures, or now a big thing is slideshows. We have a program where you can download pictures, and we make a slideshow, and you can see it here at the funeral home, or perhaps at another location, depending on what kind of technology they have.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's very popular.
You'll work in conjunction with the other, if it's out of state, say in Massachusetts or West Virginia, you'll work in conjunction with the funeral home there.
Yes, certainly.
Gotcha. Okay, that sounds great.
Absolutely.
And, we're going to be talking more coming up next week, but I really feel so compelled to thank you and Charlie and the boys, because there isn't a time that we've come to services here, and we all have here in New London or in Newport, and you're welcomed. I feel happy seeing you all.
Good. Well, thank you.
And that means, as a part of the community, that gives a lot of comfort.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, we're speaking with Marion Hafner from Chadwick's Funeral Home, and we'll have more of this discussion. Find out a little bit about the history, too, coming up next week. Thank you so much, Marion. The message: plan ahead. Next week, we'll be back here at the Refinery Restaurant, Market, and Catering for another behind-the-scenes look at their culinary creation process. We'll be visiting with the barkeep, Jonathan Emmons. Grace Scarlett, a painter-artist, will give us a look at her work now hanging in the walls of Bar Harbor Bank Center for the Arts Micro Gallery on Main Street in New London. Neil Nevins from Main Street Warner will give us a rundown of summer performances at the music stage of the Jim Mitchell Park. Nancy Tripp will run down the performances for Summer Music Associates, and we'll close with Representative Hope Damon giving us her legislative report.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. Main Street Bookends of Warner, for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner. The Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.